Friday 5, future headlines. It's college football smothered and covered, powered by Locked On.
You are Locked On College Football, smothered and covered, with your host, Barrett Sallee. Your one-stop shop for everything college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in. It's a Friday edition of the show. Getting on the road to Georgia, Alabama later on today. Downed trees notwithstanding. We'll talk about that in the final segment of the show. But it is time for the Friday 5. We'll also talk about future headlines on this busy Friday. This show brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bet. That's right. $5 will get you $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com. That is FanDuel.com. Okay, it is time for the Friday 5. And for those who don't know, these are 5 picks. Very creative. We just do 5 picks. Spreads, over-unders, either one, whatever. But they're all against the spread. Now, for the Friday 5, we are 9-10 against the spread this season. We don't need to talk about that 9-10 record, but we are getting over 500 this week. And we're going to start with a Friday night special, the Cam Ward experience. The Cam Ward experience taking over. They're taking on, Virginia Tech. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Virginia Tech. I am so disappointed in this team, man. So disappointed in this team. I was on board, man. I was driving that bandwagon. I was leading the charge on that bandwagon. Brent Pry, Kyron Drones, you let me down. You let me down. But this is a Friday night. All eyes will be on this game as well as the Big Ten game. The NFL took over Thursday. College football takes over Friday. High school's left figuring itself out. But a lot of people will be watching this game, not only because it's an ACC game, but of course, Cam Ward. You put Cam Ward against Kyron Drones. To me, that screams, let's get weird. Let's get weird. So we're going to go with the over. 53 and a hook total points. We will go over. We will have a Friday night shootout in front of tens of people at Hard Rock Stadium. Doesn't matter who's there. As long as Kyron's there, as long as Virginia Tech's there, as long as Cam Ward's there, it's going to be a fun one. So we'll go over Virginia Tech and Miami. Oklahoma State, Kansas State kind of feels like an elimination game in the Big 12 championship game race. Now, we don't know that for sure. And part of the reason we like college football, part of the reason I like college football is that we don't really know what the outcome of each game means until after the season. But I think it's fair to say that after what happened with Oklahoma State last week and what happened with Kansas State last week, you can't really afford another loss. Maybe you do with tiebreakers filtered in, but let's just go ahead and say you can't afford another loss. That means this is going to be placed close to the vet. The Avery Johnson experience is all over the place for K-State. Now it is at home, so that'll help. Oklahoma State can't figure out exactly where Ollie Gordon went. They don't really trust Alan Bowman all that much. The over-under is 57 and a hook. I know it's kind of lame to pick unders. But, a lot of times it's because of good defense. This is not one of those cases. This is just because both teams are sloppy. So give me the under 57 and a half. I was shocked. I thought at best this would be low 50s. It wouldn't have surprised me if this game was hanging around the 40 mark. I really believe that this game might be the lock of the weekend. Go under Oklahoma State, K-State, in the Little Apple in something that's very sloppy. Okay, now if you read my stories on Outkick, Trey Wallace and I, we pick 3 games for the 3 biggest games, and then we get to pick one special game that's our wild card. And more or less, it's the best bet of the week. My best bet of the week: BYU at Baylor. I think you look at this game, and after what BYU did last week, I would think, oh yeah, BYU people are catching on. People are catching on. Apparently, Vegas didn't, because they're 3.5-point underdogs at Baylor. I thought about this, and maybe this was part of the Colorado bump. And what I mean by that is everybody watched Colorado. Yeah, Baylor lost, but a Hail Mary at the end to force overtime. Maybe casuals around the country, and yes, I'm using the term coined by Josh Pate because I said it for a long time too. Excited to see Josh this weekend, though. We're good friends. We talk about a lot of non-football stuff on text, actually. But now, there's no Colorado. Baylor's a football team. A little better, but both of them are bad. Because Baylor took Colorado to overtime does not mean that Dave Aranda suddenly fixed things. It's the exact opposite, in fact. And so if you're telling me BYU, with all of those adults on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and by adults, I mean they've gone on their 2-year mission trip, and they've come back from their 2-year mission trip. They're married. They have multiple kids. They've got a mortgage. That's when BYU is at its best, and they manhandled K-State last week, and they're going to do it again. Take the 3.5. You won't need it. BYU wins this game straight up. BYU wins this game by double digits. Not only is the wrong team favored here, that team is getting absolutely no respect. Give me the Cougs. Give them to me big. And like I said, take the points. You won't need them because the Cougs are winning that game outright. All right, I've seen Florida State play this year. Ireland. Not impressed. I love SMU. I love Rhett Lashley. Rhett Lashley's been on this show. He's an awesome dude. The quarterback situation there is like something I never thought would happen. I thought Preston Stone was going to be an absolute monster. He's not. He got benched. And really, with Florida State, they've been in every game. So, close game, fine. Monkey off their back last week against Cal. Major step. So you combine with the fact that this, simply by talent, they're going to keep it close. And the pressure's off a little bit. And SMU is nowhere close to what I thought it would be. Win against TCU, notwithstanding, in the Iron Skillet game. Give me Florida State. I'll grab the 6. This is not one of my best bets of the weekend. So you're probably asking, why is it included in Friday 5? I just kind of want to take a flyer on Florida State. I feel like you don't win big if you don't take risks. And this is one of those games where, yeah, I feel pretty strongly. I think Florida State will keep it close. Would I actually go bet on it in Vegas? No. Probably not. If I did, would this be one of those things where I go big or go home? Yeah, maybe. So take the Noles, grab those 6, move on. Wisconsin at USC. The Trojans are 15 and a hook favorites. 15 and a half. Over a Wisconsin team that they don't have a quarterback, obviously. They're not built strong at the line of scrimmage, obviously, with what Alabama did to them. They don't have playmakers. And I still believe in USC and their ability to tackle. They did everything right against Michigan except one play on that game-winning drive, and it cost them. They're fundamentally sound tackling. They've got dynamic playmakers all over the place. And they've got a quarterback in Milroe who I don't feel has even come close to what he will be by the end of the season. I think you look at the number, 15.5, that's a big number. I don't think it's big enough. And the reason I don't think it's big enough is I think there's some sort of irrational attention paid to Bear Alexander and his absence, and maybe the locker room's fractured. And I feel the opposite. I feel like this is one of those moments where they can come together, where they will come together. And honestly, the absence on the field is not going to matter. Bear Alexander is way overrated. He's got a cool name. He was a hot prospect. He's not a very good player. I just did the Joe Biden whisper, and I truly apologize. I truly do. So give me USC. Those 15.5. I'm sorry, I'll lay those 15.5. I still believe, even with that loss, that this is a fantastic USC team that has figured out how to play fundamentally sound defense and just lost to a better team last week. And that's okay. That is okay. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll predict the future headlines. Future headlines of Week 5. It's college football covered, and of course, we are powered by Locked On. Today's show brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up your financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5 APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 per month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at .com/gold. Terms apply for product-specific disclosures. Visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Okay, let's predict some headlines. Let's predict some headlines. First things first, we got to go pick the big game. I didn't put it Friday 5 because, quite honestly, I haven't had a beat on Alabama, Georgia for pretty much the entire week. 2 weeks, actually. But I'll take the Crimson Tide. I'll take him at home, and here's why. Malachi Stark said it best. The thing they worry about most with Jalen Milroe is the deep pass. It's not his legs, it's the deep pass. They're going to do a lot of that. And it's because I think they fixed their offensive line. I think that showed against Wisconsin. I think they know how to integrate Ryan Williams. And then simply put, stretching the field is what Kalen DeBoer does best. And here's the thing. Kalen DeBoer, a lot of teams look at that bye week and they say, okay, this is when we fix things. Kalen DeBoer's only played coached 3 games. He really didn't have any idea what his team was. Now he's had a chance to fix it. He's had a chance to self-scout. And I think you're going to see a much different offense. I wouldn't say different, a much more cohesive offense, because the plan will come together in a way where it strengthens, it focuses on the strengths and hides the weaknesses. And I honestly don't see that many weaknesses. Maybe wide receiver depth or versatility outside Ryan Williams. That's about it. And on the other side for Georgia, I've never been the biggest Trevor Etienne guy. When Georgia's at its best, it's Chubb and Michelle. It's Gurley and Marshall. You know, it's these randoms, right? But there's always that alpha. Trevor Etienne isn't that alpha. He's only played 2 games, but I never thought he'd be an alpha. He was okay at Florida, but not a superstar. We know they've been banged up at running back. So who's that 1B? They have to have a 1B because not only is Etienne not at the level of previous Georgia running backs, he has never been that guy. So that's going to be a problem if you are Georgia. You want to keep Milroe on the sideline. You can't really do that. You can't really do that. So because of that, because the Crimson Tide will roll in Tuscaloosa over Georgia, a team that has had success with pretty much consistently, except on that big stage, the headline will be owned again. It'll be owned, ellipses, again. Give me Bama. Don't want it to be. I'm not saying huge. Just saying Bama in a close one. Georgia might have the ball late with a chance to win, and fine. But I think that this matchup at this time is something that favors Alabama. Now, I will say this. You play this game a month from now. You play this game 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now. The opinion might change. Maybe Georgia has figured itself out from the rushing in the running game. Maybe they're whatever. But right now, wrong team, wrong time. Georgia loses. A classic in Tuscaloosa. Next one. What now? And you can apply this one to a lot of teams, but what now is going to apply to the Oklahoma Sooners? Auburn's been the laughingstock this week for a lot of different reasons, some valid, some not. But Auburn's been the laughingstock. This is Michael Hawkins on the road starting his first game in the first game Oklahoma's ever played on the road in the SEC, and essentially every receiver is out. You look at the injury report yesterday, basically everybody's out, including Deion Burks. What's Hawkins going to do? He's got no offensive line, and he's got no receivers. Now, I'll say this. I don't trust Auburn either, but Oklahoma is so one-dimensional offensively, and they won't be able to do that right. So this is going to be a disaster because after this, what I think will be a loss to Auburn, you will have people around Oklahoma saying, oh, God, what do we do now? Are we ready for the SEC? Who do we put in a quarterback? Do we get any wide receivers healthy? How do we fix the offensive line? Every single thing will come crashing down to earth because it's not a huge deal to lose to Tennessee in my mind. That Tennessee team is legit. Anybody that saw that, including Oklahoma players, coaches, etc., looked at that Tennessee team and said, wow, that team's damn good. Auburn's not. You lose on the Plains, you got to search for your soul a little bit. So the headline will be, what now? Last one, Friday 5, you last said that I picked USC laying 15.5 against Wisconsin. It's going to be the Bear went into hibernation because Alexander went into hibernation. He's no longer there, and nobody cares. The headlines around him, the headlines around Sluka, whoever, sometimes they matter. UNLV losing Sluka is a big deal. They're undefeated. They could make the playoff. He's dynamic. He's a pretty good quarterback, whatever. Bear Alexander, he exists in the minds of people as a superstar because of his name and because of his high school star ranking. Now, 24/7 on 3, the Rivals, they do a great job with high school recruiting. I am not knocking what they do. They do swing and miss occasionally. They did in Bear Alexander's case. Plus, he wasn't that important to USC anyway. But what USC media and headline writers will beat into the ground, as they should, when USC rolls over, around, and through Wisconsin, is that it does not matter. His absence does not matter. The bear will go in to hibernation. We will take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about this NCAA madness. We'll also talk a little bit about the hurricane that came through here. It's college football smothered and covered. And of course, we're powered by Locked On. Show brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, you know about FanDuel. NFL fans, we got a deal for you. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and it's your #1 destination. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, something pops in your head, you're like, I don't know about that. You can check the latest stats with FanDuel. Video live, or view live play-by-play. So much more. And it's on the same page in which you place your bets. You don't have to do anything. You place your bets, you look at the stats. You place your bets, you look at the stats. You look at the stats, you place your bets. All of it's right there for you. FanDuel will get you started. $200 in bonus bets. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Think about that. They'll give you $200 guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. FanDuel.com. That is FanDuel.com. All right, NCAA madness. This whole thing, and I wrote this on Outkick, this whole thing could have been avoided a long time ago. We can point back to a bunch of different places in time where the NCAA screwed up and whatever. The one I pointed out on Outkick is, I think, a very important line of delineation. 2008, the SEC and CBS agree on a deal that lasts up until 2024, the end of 2024 academic year. So June. It was $50 million per team at the time. And at the time, everyone's like, holy crap, that's a lot of money. What were we talking about at the end of that? Holy crap, that's a sweet deal. CBS got hooked up. The NCAA recognized, should have recognized at the time that, hey, this is big business. Things are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're going to have to compensate. You're going to have to figure out how to make everybody involved whole. Mark Emmert didn't. The NCAA didn't. And as a result, you have all of these things going on. You have players leaving after 4 games redshirting. You have players leaving like Matthew Sluka for NIL deals. You've got the transfer portal out of control. All these things could have been avoided if back 08, 09, 2010, the NCAA realized, hey, you know what? We don't like doing this, but we're going to swallow our pride. We're going to figure out a way to have revenue sharing, which is coming around the corner now, but we'll do it back and we're going to have a video game and you're going to have money through there. There are ways that it could have been done back then where these players would not be making as much as they are right now, but they would have made enough to keep everybody happy. And you wouldn't have lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. Think about this. The NCAA, the Alston versus NCAA case, which had to do with certain academic benefits that players could not receive, they lost in the Supreme Court 9-0. You know how hard it is to lose in the United States Supreme Court 9-0? There could be a referendum where everybody gets free beer for life, and it still wouldn't be 9-0. In the Supreme Court. That's how bad the NCAA screwed this up. We could have had all of this fixed if in 2008, when SEC and CBS signed that deal, the NCAA realized, okay, look, this is different now. We're moving into uncharted waters, and those waters will get choppier and choppier and choppier if we don't make some concessions. And they didn't, and they had themselves to blame. Thursday night update was up all night, pretty much. Kids were excited about watching the hurricane. They think it's cool. I think it's cool. Weather fascinates me, not as much as it does Josh, but certainly fascinates me. We live in our neighborhood's huge, but half of it, the part where we live, is way up on a hill, and then you go out the back entrance and you go down. It's like a forest, and whatever. Trees down on both sides. Kids high school or kids school. We go to pre-K through 12 school. The baseball field, the softball field, one of the practice fields completely flooded. The park around the corner, all of the fields are completely flooded. You can see that picture on my X account. So a lot going on. Trees down outside the neighborhood. There's a couple in our neighborhood that I haven't driven over there to see yet, but pretty much fine. Pretty much fine. We lose our power in our neighborhood if a leaf falls on a power line. We only lost it for 10 minutes yesterday. I was floored when I woke up and I looked at the microwave clock and it said 8:10 and it was actually 8:20. I was like, what? How did that happen? But we're good. Family's good. Nobody around here seems to be in a bad spot. That'll do it for this edition. We'll wrap things up Saturday night. We'll probably be doing it from the field at Alabama, Georgia. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Until then, have a great Friday. Have a great Saturday morning. We will talk to you from Tuscaloosa or parts thereabouts.